Kia ora. Tēnā koutou ngā orauranga tirama. He mihi poto, he mihi aroha kia koutou. He mihi e kawana ki a koe e taonui, kōrua a ko Renei. Nā kōrua hei whakatuwhera i tā tātou hui. I ngā mana whenua, kei te mihi. I ngā maunga, ngā awa, kei te mihi. He au kei runga, he au kei raro, he tai timu, he tai pare, he tai tangata, tēnā koutou katoa. E uri e nei, o te maunga tito hea, ko Taranaki. He uri e nei o Pariaka, o Tiatiawa Nui tonu, o Ngāti Tāwhiri kura. E mihi ana ki a koutou. Ko Brai tēnei, Brai Kōpū, ko Glenn Skipper ahau, ko te Kahui rau. Oh, kei he te Kahui rau? Oh. Ko te Kahui rau, tā maua kaupapa, nō reira. Thanks everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome and acknowledgements to those who have gone before us, and away we go. So I'm going to start us off with a little bit of context, a little bit of background. As Claire just kind of alluded to, there are 3 tiers, and a conceptual project, an emergent and an established project, and so we fulfill the conceptual kind of bracket as a project. So what that's really meant for us is that we've had the space to think about thinking. We've had space and time, and that has allowed us to be very intentional and deliberate in our practice. From the outset, we attempted to capture that in the name Te Kahui Rau, and that name is based upon a saying, he kahui rau, he kahui mano. And our interpretation, or our understanding of what that means, is that essentially a small group can have a very big impact. Big changes can come from small and humble beginnings. And at home, our hapu is very small, but we are quite dynamic, and I think it's a saying that that really tries to capture, I suppose, what we are trying to do with our approach in all the stuff we do. Brian and I are drawing on many decades of kaupapa Māori, community, and hapu development. Brian is also an absolute whiz at funding and procurement, and you add that to the on-whenua stuff that I've been doing with Māra, Kai Resilience, healing and connecting, and we've been bringing it all together with our combined experience in project development and implementation. So this has been a pretty awesome journey so far for the last 18 months. We have a transformative vision. Our hapu has a transformative vision, and the two of us hope to emulate that, and that drives our mahi. We want to work in ways that heal our people, heal our whenua, heal our whānau, and of course heal te Taiao. The connection between those is intrinsic, right? They are reliant upon one another for success. We've attempted to explore and create innovative pathways by combining the new technologies, the sciences that we've been exposed to with our tupuna knowledge and wisdom. And personally, I'm a firm believer that one of the key fundamental traditions of our people is adaptation and innovation. From the moment our tupuna stepped, or those who stepped off waka onto this whena, we've been innovating and adapting, and so we continue that today. We've been developing and testing many frameworks through this process, and this is one of them. In fact, this is one of our key ones. he kawaora. This framework was developed recently through a time of kind of turmoil as our hapu and our iwi worked on their treaty settlement process. And we really drew upon the resilience and the exploration of our tupuna kōrero, particularly around Pariaka and their response to trauma. For more than a decade, we've been refining and adapting this framework and applying it, particularly within the Māori context, as a healing tool. And it's a highly adaptable tool. The concepts explore healings, relationships, and steer us in a way to achieve positive outcomes. And we'll be using this. This is the kind of the core fundamental framework that we are adapting and further adapting to underpin our Te Taiao healing framework. When we use this in our normal practice within our wānanga, within our healing wānanga, there is a karakia, and funnily enough, it's called he kawaora. And that karakia is absolutely choka, full of tupuna wisdom. The karakia sets out frameworks for positive intervention, positive intention, and that intention within the karakia is to achieve health, thrivance, abundance. It even describes the stages of success and sets them in place as a process for success. And we simultaneously are using many frameworks. That's the great thing about being a conceptual project, is that you can throw frameworks at issues, at problems, at opportunities, and quickly kind of develop which ones are robust, which ones are actually going to kind of to give you a more refined outcome. And this one has and still is kind of standing the test of time. That's kind of the who and the why we do stuff. I hand it over to Bri for the what.
Kia ora, everyone. Well, this slide here is what we just call a plan on a page, and we have our hapu values at the core of everything that we do as Ngāti Tāwhirikura in Taranaki. So mana motahake, creative at core, generous and generative, and of course te tiriti. The green ring is the 4 po that we work within our community for. So we want to partner deeply, we want to inspire action, innovation, and for the collective good. What we have also done is inserted the 11 key insights, and that was one of the key things that drew us to this kaupapa, was that it felt intuitively exactly where we were at, and timing, we talked about this morning, timing's everything. And those key insights have validated some of the things that we knew intuitively, but also through the research process validated that as well. The darker grey ring around the circle, we've got lots of circles in our presentation, are all the projects and outcomes that we want to see happening in Taranaki and be able to share around Taranaki. The green impacts are the 4 key impacts that we want to see in the world. I did leave a just and equitable world, because we know that it's going to take a little bit longer than the time frame of this program. On the other side is the enablers, so the things that we're doing behind the scenes to create an enabling environment for us to be able to do everything that we want to do. The first key insight that we wanted to share with you is around the concept of positionality. So as a kaupapa Māori research pilot, we used the concept of positionality as an integral step to applying the treaty of Waitangi to everything that we do. It's helped us affirm our own identity and position in relationship to the research world, into business and the economy, and all of our neighbours. As tangata whenua, we have a distinct position, and our perspective comes from that unique set of values, but also responsibilities, and that's rooted in our whakapapa and our ancestral ties to our whenua. One of the ways that we've been able to demonstrate that is within developing our ecosystem and our engagement strategy. So we're really looking for partnerships in the community and with government where we can come together really understanding what our position is in order to have, a respectful and trusting kind of relationship. There's nothing more frustrating for us as mana whenua when we're engaging with people and organisations that don't really understand that positionality, and that's the key insight of the key insight. The second insight for us is Taiao as the basis for change. We, as we've spoken about, have deep ties to our ancestral lands, much of which was confiscated after the land wars, so most of our whānau and hapu within Te Atiawa have been off our whenua. So this really was an opportunity for us to put Taiao back into the centre of the discourse that we're having with potential partners, with our hapu, inviting them, creating really accessible opportunities for people to connect. So the Māda is a really good example of bringing people in. They think that they're there to put their hands in the soil and grow some vegetables, but it's really about growing deeper connections to one another, learning new kupu or words, karakia, and having that sense of being part of something bigger than they were before. The other advantage that we've noticed when we've applied this insight is that Taiao has a unifying effect, and for most of the people that we're talking to, our community collaborators and peers, it's really has been able to unlock a lot of conversations because of that shared care and shared concern that people have for climate change, for the environment, and for us, been able to share what Taiao is. It's not just a straight translation to the environment. So I think there's some level of reciprocity that has been great. We couldn't really talk about market and value chain development without looking at changing economic models and defining what success means to us. And as we navigate the challenges and opportunities at the intersection of climate change, culture, and community, I love Kate Raworth, and we took the opportunity to think like 21st century economists, and intuitively we knew our compass had a deep misalignment with that degenerative economy and growth for growth's sake. And we, have really enjoyed the process of thinking about what is success to us as a hapu, what is success for us as whānau, what is success for us in Taranaki. So not just, where we live in New Plymouth, but around the maunga. The questions that we asked ourselves sort of led us back to our deep hapu and economic development connections from our tupuna, but also back to the wonderful example of Parihaka, which thrived on regenerative principles, collaboration, and deep respect for Taiao. And those past economies were not viewed in isolation. Economic activity was integral to the well-being of hapu and sustaining and enhancing all whānau. And fast forward to where we are today, we're actively defining what a circular economy is. It's the buzzword wherever we open up a new strategy or plan or go to conference. Everyone's talking about circular economies. And so for our hapu and for our project, we're really interested in defining what a circular economy means to us today. And with the help of New Plymouth District Council and their Zero Waste Fund, We're looking to host an Indigenous Māori Circular Economy Conference in 2024. As a project manager, I love capturing outcomes, and as a conceptual project, we've been able to develop our Taiao strategy, He Kawa Ora, which is the healing framework that Glenn's talked about. We're developing a brand, and the research is really capturing our whānau voice, which will be a really essential part to that brand development and the authenticity of products and services that we will eventually be able to deliver in community. We've run wānanga where we've had nearly 320 people attend those wānanga with top Māori scholars, with Linda and Graham Smith. We've run a number of events, so as Claire talked about maramataka, we've run puanga, matariki, and one of the important things, as I've said before, is around acquiring our ancestral lands back and being able to strategically patch together an integrated plan for whenua that's here, whenua that's there, and da-da-da-da-da. So that's been an amazing part of the experience, and one that we'll be able to share and demonstrate to other regions, because we know that, that isn't a unique problem, and often within whānau trust, there's just not a lot that you can do on one particular thing, but if we look at integrating, our strategies, we can go from there. You probably can't see the whiteboard, but this slide we call Thinking About Thinking, and we're incredibly grateful for this opportunity, because it really has given us the chance to think about thinking, to talk to other really amazingly clever people who share their wisdom with us, their science and innovation knowledge, and we've really had a noticeable shift from thinking about micro issues, the challenges that we've got, to much bigger macro and systemic issues that face us in Taranaki. We know after COVID, after climate change weather events, that, when you're out in a province where there's transport disruptions, there's supply chain issues, that, we need to be really resilient. And so for us, we're looking at system solutions. To where to next, we're looking at Te Kahui 2.0, which would be He Kahui Mano. Our implementation phase will be informed by the Taiao strategy that we've been developing. We're looking to share our insights, as I said, with other regions and other small communities. We're looking to stand up 3 pamu, or farms, in Taranaki, in Ngāti Mutunga in the north, Te Rewirewa in New Plymouth and Ngāmotu, and Waukina, which is in south, to demonstrate, those insights that we've been able to, affirm over the last 18 months, to demonstrate the land management use change, lower emissions, and look how we can have that proof of concept and scalability to other regions. The other activities that the Thinking About Thinking kind of led us to was a whole range of interconnected challenges, but which also became opportunities. And the first one is developing Tāpiri Taranaki resource recovery solutions. And we've got a $60 million application in with MFE, which we're not going to get at this stage. But it's looking at working with our organic waste and looking at flipping that paradigm to resource recovery and the bio fertiliser as an input back into whenua. So again, it's got that nice sort of circular aspect to it. We're working also with MPI to look at the development of a Taranaki Māori food system strategy. Again, looking at more of the systems issues than just kai resilience, which is a big part of the mahi that we've been working on for the last 10 years. We're also developing with the Department of Internal Affairs, and we are looking for other investors, an Indigenous business ecosystem and a Indigenous Business Incubator and Founder Program, which is the next one. And then also our Circular Economy Conference, which is going to be at the end of April into May. I think that was it, but Glenn's got the last slide to round us out.
Just really, being a conceptual level project has given us an amazing level of agility over the last 18 months, which has meant that what might be problems have turned into opportunities. A couple of the insights that we'd just like to reiterate that we've kind of talked about is the first point there: encourage a local and regional discourse in Treaty of Waitangi relationships and positionality. We've found it at least such a critical aspect, the ability to understand positionality, if you're going to investigate what relationship, at least an empowering relationship should look like. If people don't understand who they are and what they're bringing and who they're talking to, it is very hard to have a in-depth conversation about where we are going. As Bri said earlier, we've been working on redefining our success metrics, aligning them to our core values so that they work for us, and extending investments as others have talked about. These are intergenerational problems. They've taken a long time for us to get to. Some of these problems have taken generations to get us to where we are, and it's going to take generations to flip the paradigm, which means a consistent resourcing. We cannot create solutions in isolation and expect them to hit systemic challenges. We must tackle some of these things as systemic challenges. Thank you very much.